Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Chief Science Officer Zoom In on Science Calls, where we learn about STEM professionals and their careers to understand the impact of their job in modern life. My name is CSO Sophia, and I'm from Pennsylvania. I am personally excited to host today's call, so for all of us to enjoy this experience, please mute your microphones and post any comments or questions that you have at any time during the presentation in the chat box. And today we welcome Desi Eckstein, who is with Women in Drones, to learn more about drones. So Desi, can you tell our participants a little bit about yourself and your work?
Yes, I'd love to. First of all, I just want to thank you so much for giving me this opportunity because it really is my heart and my passion to share this. I get out there and I get very excited about it, and I just can't wait to see other people and their excitement and how it grows. And this is truly the beginning. And so I'm excited to have this opportunity to share. So you may need to set a timer for me because I really do love sharing this. So really quick about me though, I'm known as Drone Diva Desi. I've actually been flying in the industry since 2012, but not professionally. That didn't kick in until later. The FAA started the rules of you needed to get a 333 exemption. So I decided I was going to go get a license to fly a hot air balloon. That didn't go very well. I was really glad I could stick to a drone. So, but I am the lead FAST team representative for San Diego, which means I have a heart for safety. So I try to do a lot of outreach programs for safety. I'm an instructor over at TCI Maricosta College, and I teach drones from 107, getting their certificate, to teaching them how to fly and how to actually start getting jobs in it. So as we go in, if I'm saying any terms or anything like that that you're not aware of or you need clarification of, just let me know and I'll back up. I know a lot of people are not familiar with what it's 107, but that's the certificate you get from the FAA that allows you to fly commercially and make money from it. So that's my goal. I'd like to do that. So I'm also a AUVSI. I am a top level 3 pilot, which means I've got the highest credentials for AUVSI certification. I'm AUVSI level 2 instructor and this close to being a level 3 instructor. And I also have my own company and it's called onthegovideo.biz. So that's me, really quick right there. In the right-hand side of the presentation right there, that drone is called an Inspire. That's one of the larger platforms. The one in the middle, as you can see, I'm all about pink. And so the one in the middle is a Mavic 2 Pro. So it's a little bit smaller. And the really cool thing is it's lighter weight, but quiet. The other one is very noisy. You know that one's in the air because it's so big. And then the certificate that I was receiving on the lower left is the one from the AUVSI. So major accomplishment for me. I'm pretty excited about that. So did you catch that flyaway thing I just got there? I'm pretty excited about my presentation and the little airplane taking off. So the main thing is that now what we're seeing is that drones aren't a toy. I know a lot of people think about drones as being a toy. So is it possible that I see maybe somebody raise a hand and go, how many have actually flown a drone or seen someone flying a drone? All right, I see some people waving some hands right there. Yay! Well, that's exciting. So drones a lot of time are perceived as a toy, but they're really a tool in so many different industries. And this is just really just an outline of few of the industries that they're being used in. I kind of shared some of the pictures that I've done just in my own path working with them. But in the ag fields, in agriculture, they're being used for spraying pesticides or even crop analysis. So they can go out with a drone ahead of time and actually analyze crops and know this is a healthy crop and this one's not. So they know where to actually dial in and do some repairs if needed. Mapping and modeling, which is huge with me. It's so much fun. So we're going to talk about that next. Construction, it saves construction companies so much money if you get out there and you can actually see the progress of a construction being built. And so it's become very popular in construction. Real estate, a lot of people think of drones and they think about real estate because you get that overall picture from real estate. And then public safety and forensics in investigations. Those are very, very large, which I'm going to tell you a little bit about that lower right-hand corner demonstration that I did. Then roof inspections and medical deliveries. I think people hear of the medical deliveries a lot right now, very popular. There's been a lot of hoopla that they've had to jump through to actually make this happen. So it's very exciting that people are actually able to do medical deliveries right now. Another one is insurance damage assessment. So a lot of times people don't think about that, but if you have something on your roof and the insurance company needs to inspect it, it would be so easy to just send a drone up rather than having someone else climb up there. So safer and easier. And then virtual reality. That's the one I really want to share because that is fun. Okay, another show of hands. How many are familiar with virtual reality? Yay! Yeah. Did you know virtual reality, like, see, I got a fun one right there, right? Is actually done a lot with drone footage? Did you know that? Yeah. Yeah. So what we do is we actually will go out and do a mapped image of a particular area. So when you think about it, you think about the 3D modeling, you think about games. Who doesn't play games, right? We're all familiar with the games. And we get totally submerged in that environment. Well, that's because somebody has gone out and digitally made that environment. Well, drones are also being used to make that digital footprint. So what we'll do is we'll go out and we'll map it, and then through the software, we can create this whole 3D rendering. And we're going to try later on to maybe give you a 3D model of this one in the upper left-hand corner. Not sure how it'll go just because of the whole internet thing, but there's just so many different opportunities, and the 3D modeling and the virtual reality is new, and it's just really starting to become so popular with the drone footage. So people will go out and actually model a golf course or a racetrack, and so all these professional players can now go out and actually do practice at that very golf course or on that very track, and then have that as a virtual reality. So they're very familiar with the track before they even get out there. So very, very popular. As far as my pictures here, I want to share the picture on the lower left is a STEM project that I do with the program called Girls Take Flight. Pretty exciting thing. They are 16-year-old girls, and they, through this program of Girls Take Flight, they actually learn to pass their 107 exam. So now they're certified to make a living with a drone. They learn how to do the footage, the aerial photography, the flight, and the videography, and everything that can go with that drone program. And the nice thing about this particular class that you're looking at right here, they're all 16 because you have to be 16 to actually get your certificate. Not one of them have a driver's license, but they all can fly legally for a living. That is such a huge accomplishment. And it's just such an inspiration that it can be done. You can actually get your certificate and start working with a drone. And these young ladies haven't even learned how to drive yet. And then what's really, really neat, and see, I get excited. I did tell you that, right? I warned you, is these young ladies have when you get your 107, you're learning the world from above. So you're going from the FAA as a manned aircraft, learning how to read the aerial maps. So how many people watch Google Maps when they're driving, right? Yeah, everybody's getting familiar with that. Well, these young ladies learn the aerial maps. They've learned it from above looking down, and it's a whole different map. And so pretty neat accomplishment. And that's the thing that's so exciting, because drones really are a tool. They are just the beginning of a whole life. So there's degrees that you can get in aviation and engineering, and you could be software development, you could do the virtual reality. There's so many different things, and this is just a little tiny part of it. The only thing is, you need to make sure that you do know the rules, because there are some rules, and that would be, you can't fly over 400 feet, you can't fly over people, so there's some safety aspects to it that you need to learn. You also need to learn your trade. So you can become a design engineer, you can become a civil engineer, and this drone is just a tool in that department. Yeah, so it's really exciting, because I do really, really feel that the sky is the limit, because with these drones, boy, you can take off and go anywhere, right? As long as it's under 400 feet. Does anybody have any questions? Because I love questions.
That was absolutely awesome. Thank you very much for telling us about your work. It is evident that you are truly passionate, very passionate about drones. While we are learning about what you do, participants have left questions in the chat, but first we're going to start off with a question or two that we've prepared in advance. So first, who was your mentor as a child?
Wow, okay. I guess I'd have to say my dad, actually my mom and my dad, because they're just amazing people, and they instilled integrity and that heart to serve in me. And then, okay, on a side note, my dad, who's passed away now, he and his entire family are aviators. My dad, he loved to fly, and we'd laugh because he'd say he's going downtown and he was really going to his plane to go fly. And I took a lesson. I flew with him a little bit, but he was never a part of my life for this. And it's like, wow, this, who knew I actually had that aviation bug inside me, you know? So, but yeah, definitely my parents.
That's awesome. So a second question that we've prepared is, what advice would you give your 14-year-old self?
I would follow your dreams. Definitely follow your dreams. The sky is the limit, and find a direction and follow that path. There's so many different things out there that I see available, and it's so exciting. It is so exciting. So I definitely would say follow your dreams.
That's definitely some amazing advice. A 14-year-old could definitely take. Another question from CSO Kelly is, what made you first get involved with drones?
Well, I'm actually asked that one a lot, and it's really kind of funny because I did what was always the classic, it's a flying camera. And so I loved it. I was not in any way a professional pilot or a professional photographer or videographer or anything like that. But I did make the most awesome home movies. And so by getting the drone, it gave me that higher perspective, and it just put that whole new element to it. And so everybody loved my home movies because they were like a production. You know, long gone are the days that you probably don't even know about the slideshow, where you you know. So I made these big video productions and put that higher perspective. And then I'll tell you another kind of funny story. When I started, I had this drone that was called an AR Parrot, and it was with this styrofoam around it, and it was ran off my tablet. And so you'll see a lot that are like that. But because it's ran off your tablet and like a Bluetooth connection kind of thing, it's very squirrely. It was very unreliable. So it ended up in a tree on the rooftop. My husband climbed up this huge tree to go rescue it one time for me, you know. And so after that, I realized I need two drones. I need to fly one and then be having one in for service and repair. So I learned how to repair them as well. So yeah, so that's how I started.
That's awesome. So another question that we had from CSO Josh is, are drones used to transport food during COVID-19? And if not, is that a plausible or a good idea?
So I have heard of opportunities for food to be delivered, and even before COVID-19, food has been delivered with the drones. There's a golf course, and I'm not sure even where, but I know they were one of the first to be able to send their orders out onto the field for people that have placed an order. They're golfing and they're like, hey, I'm kind of thirsty. And they would do drone deliveries for the meals that they have ordered. So yes, very much so, drones are being used.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Another question is, what advice would you give to students who are interested in learning more about drones?
Get started. There's so many. The first place that I would look is a organization called the AMA. It's the Academy of Model Aeronautics, and they are geared for youth activities and safe flying, and they have several areas that you can go out to the field. There's camaraderie. They have contests where you can build. There's competitions. A lot of really good resources there, and they're very youth oriented. They have scholarships. They have all kinds of stuff. And so, and you get out there into their safe environment, which is also great, but you can get out there and learn so much from these people that have just been flying for years, back from when helicopters, and they'll get out there and do these flips with the helicopters and everything. So just a lot of really good knowledge there. That's called the AMA.
That's pretty awesome. So I know I'm part of another STEM team where we have to help improve Pennsylvania using STEM. And our team is actually creating drone kits that are more affordable, so students from all around the world can have these kits and build a drone and learn how to use it. It's a much more affordable thing for schools who can't afford the same technology that other schools can have. So do you have any idea about building drones, how to spread the awareness for that, or anything about that?
Yeah, my mind is racing just by you saying all that. Oh, wow, what an amazing opportunity. That is fabulous. That is really great. So as you know, I'm already involved with a lot of STEM opportunities. And so quite often that is what they want to do, is they want to build them. They want to learn the whole process. And the kits are really hard to get. And so especially a complete kit. You know, it's one thing to, here's a piece, here's a piece, here's a piece, but it's one to have just that whole package is just awesome. And then, so I have a lot of STEM connections that I know is in need for stuff like that. And then as far as outreach, again, the AMA does a lot of different programs that they would do. And then through the FAA is not as much STEM, youth STEM type things, but they are an outreach through our safety team. And so we kind of scoop in all of the recreational and commercial by doing that. And so through the FAA, we're trying to reach out to recreational flyers as well.
Awesome. I'm definitely going to look more into the FAA for getting licensed to see. They're very small drones that we're planning because, as you know, we can't be giving big drones to just anyone because you do have to deal with the whole licensing process. But definitely love to learn more about how to get all that set up. But another question from CSO Shreya is, what were your personal interests when you were in middle/high school?
Okay, they were not aviation. I actually, I had aspirations of becoming a celebrity. And I became a DJ on the radio. And so then I moved into, I have a degree in police science. And so I tend to migrate that way a lot. So it's kind of funny that once I got out of the whole I'm a DJ kind of thing, we teased that I'd be one really good police dispatcher. but but yeah, criminal science is kind of the direction I wanted to go. Thus being that picture that I showed you was an actual demonstration that I did for the FAA for a training exercise for night operations. So.
That's really interesting. Definitely a large change, but still you managed to incorporate new interests with their old interests.
Yeah.
Another question from Claire is, how does skill at flying planes and helicopters transfer to drones?
So my first question would be, are you referring to model aircraft and model helicopters? And if that's so, then the controls, you would still be using the controller, and the controls on aircraft, you can set them when you're setting up the parameters inside your own controller in your remote controller. And so they would be similar. If you are talking manned aircraft or a helicopter, I've not actually pursued that side of things.
And another question from Claire is, given your varied paths, do you have advice for students on how to explore different careers to settle on something they really love?
Very much so. So, and I'm classic for this. I tend to have what they'd say shiny object syndrome. And so throughout my whole career in the aviation side of things, I have found myself, I kind of dabble this direction and go, is this really what I like? I'm going to get started on it. And then I kind of migrate a different way. And then the industry is so new, there's so much happening. So I kind of step out and kind of do a lot of research. It's nice that you can do a lot of research online, but I step out and kind of do the research in one direction or another. And then the true niche and the passion takes over, you know. Once you find that niche, you just kind of, you try to start migrating that direction, and the doors will open. So, yeah. I do want to circle back to that last question about the aviation folding over, because I realize also, as far as running a company, you want to have it at a standard of higher elevation. You want to make sure you're running it as a manned aviator. You want to have that professionalism. And so there's a lot involved as far as like just doing the whole certification and learning the maps, or the charts is what they're really called, the charts and such like that. So that folds over. But as far as the actual sticks and flying, they would be different from manned aviation to recreational and RC kind of stuff.
Very interesting. So we have lots of questions because this is such an interesting topic.
Oh, I like it.
Another question is, what's your experience as a woman in this field? And do you have any advice for young ladies who are entering fields that are often dominated by men?
Yeah. I think the statistics are changing now, but as of last year, women were 5% of the industry. That's why Women in Drones has become such a powerful place, because it recognizes the value that women do have in the industry. Um, Truly, I have seen a change. I have been there in the field when I walk up with my drone to the AMA field and people look at me and say, "You're going to fly that?" And now I walk up and they stand back. They know I'm going to fly that. And so, yeah, I've seen a huge change in the industry. And so, and not just aviation, but inspiration to all young ladies starting out in any industry. You can do it. You really can. And so, just learn your trade, be confident in your trade, and move forward, because people will recognize that in you. They'll see, oh, you really are a person of authority. You really do have that knowledge. You really do have the authority to be talking about this. And so, and that goes for anybody in any trade, really, because you need that strength. And when you have that strength inside, it shows. People see it. So take that for encouragement. You can do it.
That's awesome. Definitely very encouraging. As I mean, I definitely want to go into the STEM field myself for a career. So we'll ask the last few questions before we wrap things up. So a few more questions from CSO Shreya is, what are your thoughts on, I'm gonna butcher the pronunciation of this word, but autonomous drones, and
Autonomous.
they could potentially be dangerous.
Autonomous. Um, Actually, the very good question. And they actually, because of the software and the telemetry inside the drones, they are actually very safe flights. So what happens is the drone is programmed to do this autonomous mission. And because of, when I start my drone, and this is something I've seen evolve through the years too, which is really exciting. When I started flying eons ago, it was really exciting because my drone would lock into maybe 6 satellites. And it was a pretty darn good drone. That was a really good, safe drone, very trustworthy. Now we've evolved, moved forward several years. When I lock onto satellites, I get 16 satellites. That means my precision is pinpoint. That drone is locked in so tight. Now, technology, things do happen. I get that. So they have, in most drones, they'll have like a fail safe where you can actually take it out of that pre-planned mission and manually fly it, which is something that I really recommend, that you learn how to fly manually. And then you can also pop it back into a positioning where it will just stay until it's ready for your input. So there's so many fail safes in there that it is actually a safe mission, and there's ways to overcome it if there are issues. And then software is the main side of things, which is really cool because that just means that you can also become a software engineer, right? So there's software that just, it programs the drone, and it's going to go from every waypoint to waypoint, and it's all based on a GPS.
Awesome. That is extremely interesting. I never really thought about the different dangers with the drones and how the different fail-safes definitely make it seem a lot better than when you hear the robots are taking over ideas.
Yeah, you do hear that.
One last question before we end this call is, are these drones, are they already used in the field? And if not, where do you think they would be beneficial when being used?
Yes, the drones are being used in the field. And so remember how I gave you the example of the agricultural fields being out there and they're spraying and doing crop analysis. Well, that is a perfect example, because that is a mission that you would go out and do an autonomous mission and then come back with that collected data. You'll run it through the program and it'll process it, and the data that comes out is the data that will tell you, here's the area that is not getting as much water, or here's something that's a little more stressed. And you know, it doesn't tell you you need to give it this nutrient, but it tells you here's the area that needs help. Same with solar inspections. You can do solar inspections, utility inspections, all the wind turbines and such like that. And it'll tell you what areas are stressed. And so a lot of times those are autonomous missions, and the software will give you the data that you need.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for your participation today. And before we close this call, what advice would you give to us as young leaders for our future?
Follow your dreams. And once you find that dream, learn as much as you can about it and start to open the doors for the direction you want to go. And always, and from the FAA point of view, I have to say, make sure you fly safe. If you're going into aviation, please be safe. But definitely follow your dreams.
Of course, that's awesome. Very passionate with the drones, and following dreams is extremely important in order for us to get where we want to go. So again, we thank you for joining us today, Desi, and you are an inspiration to many of us, and we hope that you can participate on another call someday as we continue with our Zoom In on Science.
Okay,
And
well, thank you.
I want to unmute and complete our little motto with us. Our motto is CSOs don't just hope it happens.
Make it happen.
Make it happen.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much, and we hope to see you again, Desi.
Okay, thank you for having me.
Thank you, Desi. You're awesome.
Alrighty, bye. Reach
Thanks,
out if you
everybody.
ever
Bye-bye.
have
Thank you.
questions.